We are back with another episode of Common Knowledge, the show where I take a look at Magic the Gathering commons and tell you are they good in the Pauper format or not. Let's see what our first card is. It is Inflame. For a single red mana, it is an instant. Inflame deals 2 damage to each creature dealt damage this turn. Originally from Prophecy. Ah, yes, I remember that art from Prophecy. You'd think I would remember the Darksteel art. I was playing Magic during Darksteel. I was just really getting into Magic when Darksteel came out. I bought a lot of Darksteel. Like the tournament packs, right? The thick, like they weren't boosters. They had like 75 cards in them, and I think they were actually probably a bad deal when you look back at them, and that's why they don't make those anymore. But I bought a lot of those boxes of Darksteel specifically. I remember the Darksteel Brute on the cover of a lot of those boxes, and I was like, I need to. That card's cool. And then I actually got a copy of that card, and I went, oh, Darksteel Brute's actually bad. That card's bad. Actually, you know what? Why don't we just Darksteel Brute? Yeah, not even available in Pauper, but 2 mana that's an indestructible artifact that can sometimes become a 2/2 when you pump even more mana into it. That's not very good, but look at the thing. It looks awesome. Anyway, Inflame. Not great, right? Having to wait until creatures have been dealt damage to them is not an amazing effect. I don't generally love that. 2 damage to each creature is maybe not enough damage. I mean, I guess if you're adding on an additional 2 to whatever it's been dealt before, you're going to have to play this after combat, though, most of the time, where... Yeah, you're going to generally play this after combat when your creatures have dealt damage to the opponents, and then you can play this, but you still do 2 damage to everything, even your own stuff. That doesn't feel great. I guess if your guys have Indestructible, but I don't know. There's just so many other red cards. If you wanna actually deal damage to all the creatures and have board wipes in Pauper, you've got Breath Weapon. Jesus, you have Fiery Cannonade. I think that's the pirate one, right? You have End the Festivities only does a single damage to each creature, but it only deals to opponent's creatures, and that's pretty helpful. Electro Trickery can do that too. I think there's just better options there. I guess this works in what is the card? Is it Pyrohemia? Pestilence is the black one. Yeah, it is Pyrohemia. Pestilence is a common card. So you'll see Pestilence, but Pyrohemia, despite just being a shifted version from Planar Chaos of Pestilence, is uncommon or even rare from this secret lair. But that would have been the card you'd want to pair with this, right? And I guess you could still pair it with Pestilence. Problem is, Pestilence really wants you to be in mono black, and Inflame, obviously not a black card. Yeah, I don't know, not very good. We're spending a lot of time on this first card, and the general answer is it's not very good. We'll give this a 1.3. Golem Skin Gauntlets from Mirrodin originally, another Mirrodin block card. But in Double Masters, it got downshifted. But Golem Skin Gauntlets is a single mana for an artifact that's an equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+0 for each equipment attached to it and equips for 2. These were kind of okay in Mirrodin. We had a lot of cheap equipment that could also be attached very cheaply, and that was cool. But this only affecting power... The idea that you'd have to keep spending mana to equip stuff. So if you were trying to Voltron up a creature, which you generally would, so you could get the extra power from Golem Skin Gauntlets, you're probably spending a ton of mana just to equip the one creature, and you could be doing more stuff with that mana. I don't think this is a particularly impactful card, even though like on the face of it, you're like, oh, this could really be something. I could see how this could be very explosive in value. But the answer is it just most of the time wasn't. Let's give it a 1.4. Pretty bad cards so far, even though they are nostalgic to me. This one also nostalgic to me as somebody who played during Shadowmoor. Cult Brand Cinder is 4 and a Rakdos hybrid, so either black or red for that. It's a 3/3 elemental shaman, and when this creature enters, you put a -1/-1 counter on target creature. It's just not very good. This costs too much. 5 mana for a 3/3 that makes something smaller or potentially kills a creature. I don't know. I just think you could do better. And I would just do better. If it were me, I'd just do better. Let's go ahead and give this. It is a little bit of a removal spell in a way, and that's something. So we'll give it something. We'll give it a 1.9. Waterfront Bouncer is 1 and a blue for a 1/1 Merfolk Spell Shaper. You can pay a blue and tap it to discard a card and return target creature to its owner's hand. All right, I've got a couple problems here. This wasn't World Champ deck, so obviously it has something. I do like this Mercadian Mass art, even though. Okay, here are a handful of issues. I guess this was just a spell shaper in Mercadian Mass, so why it's been given Merfolk? Is it just because the skin is blue? This does not look like a Merfolk to me. He's also got legs. Most Merfolk don't have legs, right? I don't know why he's a Merfolk. This is cool, like spell shapers that are able to just give you an unsummon each turn. You know, you have to discard a card for it, but in blue you can do that. That's kind of good. You could do it to your own hand. You could do it to your opponent's hand. Depending on, I mean, obviously depending on the ownership of the creature, but that's cool. But I don't know why this is a Merfolk, and I also don't know why this buff dude is a 1/1. Other than, well, I don't know, he's a blue card, so he's got to be a pretty bad creature. This art does not feel like it was made for this, and it's possible it wasn't. It's possible this was just an art for a different card, and I went, well, I don't know, we'll give it to this effect instead. I guess this is kind of what a bouncer does, right? A bouncer kicks creatures off. I mean, literally bounces. It bounces these cards to their hand. It's almost there, but it's not. It's not there. I think this is not really worth your time. I'll give this a 2.1, and I don't feel good about it. Let's keep going to Lightning Blow. It is 1 and a white for an instant. Target creature gains first strike until end of turn. Draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. This is kind of whatever combat trick. It was a rare in Ice Age, and got this downshift in this Masters Edition. I don't know this for a fact. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure this artist is not very well looked upon these days. And this card is not particularly interesting at all. The best thing it does is it draws a card, and white doesn't get a whole lot of options like that. At least not in an instant like this. It's still not very good. I'll give this a 1.7. Keep going to Ire of Kaminari, a Kamigawa card, a Betrayers of Kamigawa card. Specifically, it is 3 and a red for an instant that is also an arcane spell. Ire of Kaminari, thank you. Deals damage to any target equal to the number of arcane cards in your graveyard. That is pretty narrow. Pretty narrow considering that only the Kamigawa block has arcane spells. They haven't even brought arcane spells out for a little cameo in like a Modern Horizons set or anything. They've just kind of killed arcane dead. I do follow Mark Rosewater's Twitter, or not Twitter, his Tumblr. And somebody asked him somewhat recently about arcane spells and like, could arcane come back if splice onto arcane didn't come back? And you just made a little cameo for arcane spells. Like, yeah, I could see us making cameos for it, but they haven't yet, and I kind of doubt they will. But especially because we had Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, which if you were going to bring back arcane spells in any form or fashion, that would have been the place to do it. That's Kamigawa, baby, and they didn't, so I don't think they really will. This card, not very good. There's not enough impactful arcane spells. The most used one is Lava Spike, which is a single red mana that deals 3 damage to a target player. Target player? Each player? I think it's just target player. So that's 4. And then, well, I suppose you have all those blue Splice cards that we're working with, or arcane spells with Splice that worked with High Tide, but High Tide's been banned again, so you're not really playing any of those. Kodama's Reach, good commander card. You're not playing that in Pauper. Yeah, you just can't put enough halfway decent arcane spells in your graveyard to make a 4 mana instant that deals damage based on the amount of arcane cards you got in your graveyard. You don't have enough. I guess if you were some madman, you could make kind of a spy style deck, like a balustrade spy kind of deck, where you mill most of your deck into your graveyard to get all the arcane spells in there, and then cast this. But if you're doing that, then just play the regular spy combo that does it much more efficiently with Lotleth Giant. This is not a very good card. It's a 1, honestly. This is really bad. Next up on the docket is Liturgy of Blood. It is 3 and double black for a sorcery. Destroy target creature and then add 3 black mana. So you got a terror, or not a terror. You have a murder. I guess it's a murder. A murder plus a dark ritual. Now, murder plus dark ritual would be 4 mana. I guess it would be 1 in triple black. And I think I would like this if it was 1 in triple black. But it being 5 mana and its sorcery speed. Yeah. You got to have a specific kind of deck that's ready to pay. Excuse me. A specific kind of deck that's ready to pay 5 mana and then also have something to do with 3 mana afterward. And I'm not sure you have a bunch of decks that really know what to do with that. Because you have to spend that mana. It's a ritual. You have to spend that mana now or you just completely lose it. And if you lose it, then you're never getting it back. I don't like this. I will give it a... It is unconditional removal, though. It just destroys target creature. Doesn't care if it's non-black. Doesn't care if it's an artifact. Doesn't care if it's, power 2 or less or whatever. It's just kills it. Just kills it dead. You can see the vision. I'm gonna give it a 2.2, but I don't know if it's quite that useful. So again, we're splitting hairs here, but Vernati Shieldmate is 1 and a Selesnya hybrid, so either a green or a white for a 2/2 human soldier. It's got vigilance. Soul card. Grizzly Bear with vigilance works. It's strictly better than a Grizzly Bear. That's something. Can also go in white decks. That's also something. But this is too vanilla to really matter. You're not going to play this outside of limited, and I think you'd have a hard time really thinking if this is worth a slot in your limited deck. So 1.2. And next up, how many more? I think we got... God, I sometimes can't even read my own handwriting. I think we've got 2 more cards, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see what our next one is. It is Unholy Heat. For a single red mana, you get an instant. Unholy Heat deals 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker. It has Delirium. Unholy Heat deals 6 damage instead if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard. We have a number of Unholy Heat versions here. I guess originally in Modern Horizons 2. Yeah, Modern Horizons 2. It's okay. Obviously, if you get Delirium, 6 damage to a single creature is pretty impactful. If you can, Tolarian Terror still has the ward 2, but kill a Tolarian Terror for 3 mana, pretty good. You can kill a Cryptic Serpent for 1 mana. You can kill lots of stuff for a single mana. That's pretty decent. Obviously, you'd want it to be able to hit players. It's kind of sad that it doesn't. I think that's the reason most burn decks are going to just avoid it completely. But it is still a interesting kind of like control-y card, like a red control-y card. Maybe you're in like a Izzet or a Jeskai, or even like a Boros Shell that is trying to play it a little bit more control-y. And this card isn't the worst at stopping that, especially in Izzet or something like that, where you're able to have lots of cards that you can mill, or you play the new Avatar Abandoned attachments, or if you're in red specifically, you can certainly play all the discard a card and draw 2 cards and find ways of getting specifically the card types you need to make Delirium happen. I think this is jumping through a few too many hoops to get 6 damage to a creature. I think you probably just end up playing other more generically useful cards. But it is going to be extremely cool when you pay 1 mana and you deal 6 damage to a creature. That's going to be pretty rad. It just won't come around often enough to make it really worth it. Let's give this a 2.9. Almost gave it a 3, but I'm not going to. Merfolk Mesmerist is 1 and a blue for a 1/2 Merfolk Wizard. You can pay a blue and tap it, and target player mills 2 cards. For Magic 2012, it got this convention version. Interesting. It's not that great. I would feel slightly better if you could just tap it without the mana to make the mill happen. It is target player, so you could do it to yourself for self-milling strategies, but still, there's just more efficient ways to mill, both you and your opponent. So overall, nothing too special. I will give it a 1.2, I guess to match the stat line, but not particularly great. Let's do a bonus card and then get out of here. Rock's Bodyguard is 3 and a green and a white. For a 2/3 Rhino Monk Soldier, it's got Exalted. Whenever a creature you control attacks alone, that creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. And when this creature enters, you gain 3 life. The 3 life for the entering, I don't think is a huge deal when this thing costs 5 to get on the battlefield. That's rough. And also, it's basically a vanilla creature at that point. Now, it does have Exalted, so if a creature attacks alone, including itself, so this is kind of a 3/4 in some way. But if you're not, you should be thinking of it as a 3/4, because if you're playing this card, this is a creature on the battlefield. If you're going to attack with this creature and get the Exalted trigger, that's what this creature would be, is a 3/4. If you're attacking with a different creature and giving that Exalted instead, based on this, then you're missing out on the 2 damage this thing would do. Why would you want to give +1/+1 to another creature and miss out on potentially 2 damage by not having this guy attack too? And there are reasons why. If you have one big creature, maybe it's got trample, maybe it's got flying, some other kind of evasion, it's able to get through. Maybe it's harder for an opponent to block, or they'd have to block with a combination of creatures to be able to get that through, where this 2/3 might just be able to be blocked and killed. Okay, the Exalted makes a little bit more sense, but most of the time, if you're not attacking with this thing and get the Exalted trigger on this guy, you're leaving the possibility of more damage on the table, and I don't think you want to do that. I don't like this at all. I will give it a 1.1, and a lot of that has to do with the mana cost. 5 mana for this is atrocious, but 5 mana plus all the problems I have with the Exalted is not great. I want to do a better card than that to end on. We'll give Yavi Maya Enchantress. Ooh, okay. Yavi Maya Enchantress is 2 and a green for a 2/2 human druid. This creature gets +1/+1 for each enchantment on the battlefield, both yours and your opponent's. Important to note, this also has some rad art. Yes, I like this 8th edition art quite a bit, which actually I think is the original art. Yeah, it's the Urza's Destiny art. I'm a big fan of that art. I remember that card quite a bit. I think I was trying to build an Enchantress deck at some point. I think this art is fine too. I don't mind it. 7th edition has some good arts. That 7th edition one, $17.95. If you want the cool foil one, those foils are cool, but they are way too expensive. Yavi Maya Enchantress is. Here's the thing. It goes in the one deck. It goes in the Bogles decks. It could go in the Bogles decks. It doesn't go in the Bogles decks because it's not a Bogle. It doesn't have hexproof. It doesn't have. Well, I guess they want to have hexproof. They can't have Shroud. Shroud would be bad. Shroud would be bad. But this just being another thing that gets big with enchantments on the battlefield, who cares? If you play your Bogle out that's got hexproof, then you're playing your Ancestral Mask, which does what Yavi Maya Enchantress does, but 1, it does it better. It's +2/+2 for each enchantment on the battlefield. And 2, it's an aura you can put on your hexproof guy. Yeah. This is like a really cool limited card, and maybe not even then. Like, it has to be a limited card where the limited environment has a lot of enchantments. I don't know. It's a nostalgic hit for sure. How much is that Urza's Destiny version? 33 cents. I might just pick a copy of that up just to have it and remember it. But I wouldn't put it in my Pauper deck. I have a Bogles deck for Pauper, and I'm not considering putting this in at all. At all. Also, especially, maybe the most important part for me is that there is not a Pauper legal. Well, there's not a black symbol version of this card with this art. These are the only ones that are in the actual common, and no. That's all I got for today. Did I give this a score? I don't think I gave this a score. It's okay. I will give it like a 3.6, but no, don't play this card. 3.6. It's okay. You have better options. Play those instead. See you next time.